Although members of the Zoo don't consider themselves a supergroup, the roll call may contradict them. The band features drummer Mick Fleetwood, guitarist Billy Children of the Sun Thorpe, vocalist Bekka Bramlett, David Lee Roth keyboardist Brett Tuggle, bassist Tom Lilly, and guitarist Greg Wright. On tour in support of their Capricorn Records debut Shakin' the Cage, the Zoo wheels into Indianapolis and talks to the Jinx before the show. Serving up rootsy rock with a modern twist, the Zoo comes out swinging with their debut LP Shakin' the Cage. Founding member Mick Fleetwood, who also founded the legendary Fleetwood Mac, and vocalist Bekka Bramlett explore the roots of the Zoo.
We owe this to, if you like, Tasmania, and Tasmania is, for those of you out there that don't realize where it is, it's an island, sort of part of Australia, but it's its own place, Tasmania.
Rhode Island could beat the crap out of it in awards. It's really tiny.
Yeah, and I got offered to take the Zoo down to Tasmania for a big festival down there, which never happened. But by then I had got in touch with Bekka, and Billy I'd met actually through, really basically because of my daughter. Both our daughters went to the same school, and I knew him socially. And at that point, Dennis, an Australian chap, because Bill's Australian, said, why don't we ask Bill if he wants to come down and do like a guest spot? He's a very, very famous character down there in Australia. And I said, sure. He played some records. I wasn't really familiar with what he was doing on All About, vocally and musically. And he put on some old Aztec records, a band he was in Australia. And it's just like balls out rock and roll. I said, sure, have him come down. So we got together, and that's how this thing happened. The gig was cancelled in Tasmania, but we ended up doing 6 weeks in Australia. And with some other people, Kenny Gradney from Little Feat, and a couple of friends of mine, a guitar player friend, who is no longer with the Zoo, nor is Kenny. So the three of us basically realized, not only had a great time, when we got back to the States, we decided that let's do something, you know, and that's how this incarnation of the Zoo happened.
And it just happens to be that we're all on the same boat for the same cause and the same mission, and that is, you know, for a little bit of truth to come out in rock and roll for a minute, you know, just real honest people going out to rock and roll for the cause of rock and roll. And that's it, you know, and playing with your friends and traveling with your friends. And so, you know, this is just like a big summer party for me. I'm having a great time with these guys. Love these kids.
Now, you've been getting around quite a bit. You're on Pussycats. You're in Faster Pussycats.
Don't tell him that. Yeah, I sang on Faster Pussycats. You know, it was really fun.
How did you wind up hooking up with those guys?
I just grew up with them, basically, in Hollywood. You know, we've been playing the club circuit since we're all kids, since they were kids and I was kids. And so, you know, I've done some live shows with them, and I sang on their last record they did for Elektra. And they had a reunion record that they did, and I sang on that. And so for this record, they asked me, since I was in town, to come on down and sing. And I do that with a lot of my friends, you know, just because, you know, I'm doing my part to help them out and push them, just like they do for me. And they help me every time I call for them. They're there. So it's like kids, you know, backing each other up.
Now, you say you grew up with Faster Pussycat?
Well, basically, yeah, since I was about 15.
That sounds like a scary proposition.
Yikes. Yeah, my parents didn't know about it. No, just kidding.
Now, the term supergroup, that's got to come up every once in a while. How do you guys feel about that?
Well, if it does, I think we'd all be flattered. But, I mean, the thing, however, that usually is associated with a super group is that sort of self-conscious thing of saying, all right, we'll take him because he's out of that band, and him because he's like,
good looking.
You know, it's so much not how this band came together. You know, I mean, I suppose we'll take it as a compliment and everything else, but in actual fact, it's so much not that.
This just fell
that's what appealed,
into place.
You know, for me, absolutely, was the real sense of this was very real, and that's why I'm doing it. I think that goes for everyone else, is that it's the antithesis of a supergroup, actually. I mean, we want to get out and just, hey, we're out here to prove. We're not expecting anything. You know, I'm not expecting, you know, 15,000 people every night. You know, if a club is like half full or over half full right now. We're really pleased, you know, and that's what we're doing. We're going out and getting this band doing things like this, you know. It's very important. It's not, people say, oh, aren't you bored with doing this, and why do you want to be playing in clubs? And this is where I came from, and in actual fact, although people didn't know about it, I've been doing this on and off for probably the last 12 years. A great many of those years with a band that was called the Zoo, not this particular lineup at all. And now it's just turned into something that's really meaningful. You know, we have a great record that we're all really pleased with, and we're going to just hang in there and see what happens. You know, hopefully it will all go well and we'll be rich and famous and happy.
And we'll all just sit back here and hug.
Yeah.